Now, let's move on to the particulars of finding a remote job. The first, most instinctive decision is to go to a job search site, and that's actually not a bad option. In order to find a vacancy, you need to decide what to write in the search box. The most logical query is simply to type the word dispatcher. This way you will be shown the largest number of options, but many of them will not fit your search. There will be jobs like cab dispatcher or airline dispatcher and so on. How can we narrow down this query? Here are some of the options. Truck dispatcher, freight dispatcher, remote truck dispatcher, work from home truck dispatcher, spot market freight dispatcher, interstate truck dispatcher, load finder, dispatch coordinator, or over-the-road dispatcher. Basically, we're looking for the same job, but we call it by different names. By typing in different queries, we can get different results. There are also alternative job titles, which I mentioned earlier. This course taught you the job of a full-service dispatcher, the one who searches for loads, analyzes the market, and negotiates rates. This is, so to speak, the highest rank of a dispatcher. Companies that are looking for such dispatchers are trucking companies that operate on the spot market and book spot loads through brokers, and accordingly their earnings fully depend on their dispatchers. There are also companies that work on the contract market. They have contracts directly with shippers and they don't need to search for loads, but they also need dispatchers. Working in such a company is a bit different. They need dispatchers who will coordinate the work of drivers, help them solve problems on the road, keep documents in order, keep records, and so on. Not exactly what you were trained for, but you already have the necessary skills for that position. I know dispatchers who have worked in such a position, then switched to a spot market carrier, but ended up going back. Each individual has his own preferences. Working for a contract carrier involves less stress, less rush, and less responsibility for financial results. Such dispatchers coordinate several dozens trucks at a time because they don't need to spend time negotiating with brokers. The income potential in such a position is a bit lower, the pay is mostly fixed. The dispatcher doesn't generate profit, so he doesn't get a percentage. Average compensation on the US market is $500 to $1,000 per week, depending on experience and workload. Another alternative job title is night dispatcher. Well, the name speaks for itself. Even a spot market company may need night dispatchers. You will not need to search for loads. At night it would be a useless task, but you need to answer the calls of brokers and drivers. Help solve minor issues, such as requesting payment of lumper fees, giving the broker an update on the location of the truck, or Google and find the nearest truck stop for the driver. It's like an apprentice dispatcher. Not yet a full-fledged dispatcher, but already getting valuable experience, gaining contracts, earning quite decent money. Payment for this position is usually by the hour or per shift. On average, $10 to $15 an hour in the US. One of the downsides is that you have to work at night. Although due to the time difference, for you it could be early morning or even day. Depends on where you're located. Some advantages of this position. First, this is the easiest job to get without experience. If you still have doubts about your abilities but really want to get to work, it will be perfect for you. Nighttime dispatchers who perform well most often get offers from the company to become a full-time dispatcher on a full salary and commission. I know many examples of this personally. For such positions, most often companies are looking for remote dispatchers. There are also such positions in brokerage companies, and this is an important point. You can look for positions as an overnight broker. The tasks are similar, but you'll be on the other side of the game. If small trucking companies might get around without night dispatchers, broker companies cannot survive without them. Some job sites have filters for remote work, so go to the advanced search settings and see if there is a filter labeled remote. This will help sort jobs and speed up the search process. However, that's not a necessary step. Many of our students apply for vacancies that don't specify that they're remote and still get hired. When you use these sites, it's important to pay attention to the saved searches feature because often these sites will collect statistics on your searches and then send you email notifications anytime there are new similar jobs. And it's a really useful tool to not have to sit and look at sites every day for jobs. It's a more passive approach. Can be useful depending on your urgency. Also, you can find employee reviews on job search sites. Study the reviews, if there are any. Pay attention to the specific details the employees point out. This will give you some idea of whether you would even want to work for that company. I think by this point you have a logical question. What are these job search sites and which of them should I use? Let's figure it out. First of all, look for jobs on specialized American platforms. The best known are Glassdoor and Indeed, but there are many others. In the appendix to this lesson, I attached a list of some websites with job openings. The key thing is to constantly monitor them, save your vacancies, and apply to as many as you can. The second option is Google search. If you type in a phrase like truck dispatcher jobs, on the first page you'll find the same vacancy aggregators like Indeed or Glassdoor. They're usually at the top of the list. But after trying different options and scrolling through further pages, you may come across less popular results. For example, a less popular job site or directly the website of a company that's looking for employees. This method can be fruitful if you take the time to do it. A good job posting on the top site might get a couple hundred applicants, but a trucking company that posted a quick mention on their website that they're looking for dispatchers is unlikely to be that popular. That means that your chances will be much higher. This approach is also great for finding a job in a dispatching company. Simply search for dispatching services, then call or email them asking for open vacancies. Another awesome tool is LinkedIn. There are a huge number of jobs for all tastes, as well as the ability to look for decision makers and HR managers and contact them directly. In the next lesson, we'll take a closer look at this platform and how to work with it. The next option is the online ads aggregators and classified sites. A great example in the US is Craigslist. It was this website that helped me find one of my first customers as a dispatcher, but you can use it for searching for dispatcher jobs as well. There are some nuances of using it. I'll show you what to do. You might need a VPN depending on where you're located. Any free VPN should work just fine. Okay, so here I am on Craigslist.org. It actually immediately took me to my location, Chicago. But it doesn't matter where you are because over on the right here where it says worldwide, you can click on Americas and then choose United States. You don't have to let Craigslist know your location. And then you can choose any state, any city. I suggest looking for jobs in large transportation hubs, Dallas, Atlanta, etc. So Chicago is actually a great option. So I'm gonna go back to Chicago here. Now I'm interested in the jobs section. In the next module, I'll show you how to also use Craigslist for finding customers, for finding small carriers that you can dispatch. But right now we're focusing on looking for jobs. So going to the jobs section, you'll see many industries, but I'm interested in transport. And so as you can see, there are thousands of offers just in Chicago area. So if you go to a different city like Atlanta, the offers will be different. So you can go to different ones. But I'm going to specify, I will write dispatch or dispatcher. And here you go. I've already clicked on some, but you'll find many options here. Transportation company looking for experienced over-the-road dispatchers, load planner dispatcher, drive-in reefer dispatcher needed, remote dispatcher. So actually you'll find many job offers. Some of them will be remote, some of them will be in-house. If it doesn't specify that it's remote, don't worry, you can still apply and you can check. Not every employer will specify that this is a remote position, even though they're ready to hire a remote dispatcher. So here you go. These are just Chicago, more than 500 offers. If you go to a different city, once again, you'll get more offers. So this actually will give you plenty of job posts to choose from. Another effective platform for finding a job as a dispatcher is Facebook. First of all, Facebook has its own job section. You can just Google Facebook jobs. But that's not the most important thing. There are a tremendous number of groups and communities on Facebook related to the US logistics industry, trucking, and dispatching. Some communities have hundreds of thousands of followers. The audience there is very active, with discussions in the comments on hundreds of posts every day. I've saved a more detailed analysis of these groups for the next module on finding clients, but this is a very interesting place for job hunting as well. Any dispatcher should subscribe to at least a couple dozen of these communities, monitor the posts, and participate in the discussions. And for a dispatcher looking for work, it's a great place to network. I used to have more time to do it, and I actively corresponded in groups, learned new tricks, and discussed things that interested me. Every day I would meet tons of trucking company owners and network with them. On the employer side, what better way to hire someone than to communicate on a personal level? Think about it, and be sure to start using Facebook. Don't forget, the people you'll be connecting with will want to visit your page. Prepare it for professional purposes. And if you want to separate your personal life and work, just create a separate page for dispatching. Post articles on professional topics, share your opinions, and ask questions. Even if you haven't yet become a seasoned professional, create an image of one, even if it's just on Facebook for now. To give you an example, one of our sales managers signs at least 2 to 3 new customers per week from Facebook just by communicating. And the people with whom he communicates are often looking for a team member, not a dispatch service. So that's a great opportunity for you. All things said, seeking employment is a great first step for a dispatcher. The main thing to remember is that finding a job is a full-fledged process, not just a passing step between you and the money you want. And you have to treat it as a process, with proper preparation, with effort and persistence. Be prepared to spend mental and time resources. And if your first attempts are not successful, don't be discouraged. This is just the beginning. Of course, without experience, finding a job is much more difficult and may take more time. It's going to be a lot easier from here on out.